Chicago Cubs signs of life. We'll check in with the unflappable Bill Plaschke. Disappearance of the Houston Astros. We'll check in with the very flappable Tim Kalishaw. Also, the process, luck, and ball night. Let's go around the horn.
I knew there'd be a Laker in there.
Ball night.
Had to have some of the Lakers in there. They start
It's
tonight.
Around the Horn, the show of competitive banter. Here's Tony
The
Reale.
incredibly shrinking Houston Astros. Those lovable underdog New York Yankees. Look at Bob Ryan's face right now. I call that bemused nonplusment. Going back to Houston, going to be enough to change the tide of the series, or have the Yankees bats woken up enough and the Astro bats disappeared enough for you to make a proclamation, Tim Kalishaw?
No proclamation. I'm going to say the Yankees have the upper hand, and that doesn't mean I'm distancing myself from my pick or this old school Astro orange that's behind me. I still think they have a chance because they got Justin Verlander in Game 6. But here's the deal if you're the Yankees. The worst thing that can happen is that you're going to play a Game 7 with CC Sabathia on the mound after a loss. Now, what's his record after a loss? It's phenomenal this year. Plus, they've been hitting really the whole series. They struggled the first two games against great pitching, but they beat up on Keuchel yesterday. The Astros are in the process of setting a new League Championship Series record for lowest batting average, and they've got to come a long way to get out of that.
When you ask the question rhetorically, what's CC Sabathia's record for after a Yankee loss? Do you want to give us the answer there as well, Tim Kalishaw, for some more bonus points?
I think I know. I just was saying if anybody else here
He
might
doesn't know. He doesn't
He
know.
doesn't know.
He
He's
gave
getting
you a
muted.
stat. He doesn't
Does anybody
know.
else know? Anybody else want to volunteer an answer?
No clue.
It was 9-0 in the regular season. I think Game 2 against Cleveland, he actually was coming off a loss and didn't win that game, but he did win one earlier this series.
9-0 while I was muted there.
But he can't give hints. You have to give the facts.
Plaschke, where are you on this series right now?
I'm a little worried about the Astros. Little worried. Astros hitters not named Correa or Altuve are batting 106 in the series. The whole team, the last three games, is batting 120, 2 for 21 with runners in scoring position. Here's the biggest thing. They've been in first place since April 12th. Now suddenly they're behind. For the first time all summer long, they're the team that has to chase. They're the team that has to grind it. I don't know if they can do it. I'm very worried about the Astros. I don't know. I picked them to win this thing. I'm not so sure about that pick right now.
Kevin Blackstone?
Well, I have them bouncing back in their home place. I mean, remember, the Yankees are on a roll at home, not so much on the road, where they were just a 500 team, basically, this season. And the other thing is, with Verlander on the mound, I mean, he's been a different guy since he's become an Astro. 8-0 since he's arrived there. Giving up some runs, but they support him, and they win with him. And I just can't imagine that offense, so powerful all season long, which we saw absolutely roll over, just maul the Boston Red Sox, is going to stay dormant. I gotta think that once they get back home, some of those bats are going to start to connect.
And Bob Ryan.
The Yankees have got a little sprinkled fairy dust all over them, I think. If you go back to how these playoffs started in the wild card game with Severino lasting a third of an inning, and then they get this historic 8 2/3 innings of beautiful relief pitching, and they get through that game. And they are there's something about them. There's something that I think is just inexplicable and indefinable, but very real. They have their time has come a year ahead of schedule. And the other thing, the Astros, when we're talking about the batting average that they have, and you're talking about the 66 Dodgers, you're talking about, if those who love baseball know baseball, astonishing jaw-dropping comparison in terms of, I think it's like 146 is the batting average. And by the way, Bill, not only Altuve's not hitting either, he's 0 for 9. So it's scary. I think the Yankees are in great shape.
And then you talk about Game 7. Who do the Astros pitch in Game 7? Charlie Morton, Lance McCullers Jr. You know, it doesn't look too good for them.
You know, Blackstone, you mentioned the Yankees were 500 on the road this year. If they go 500 in the last two games?
Right, they win because nothing has changed. Yeah. Home team wins all the games.
We'll move on. Cubs signs of life. Joe Madden not hanging around to see it all again. He was ejected for here. That's no tip play. It was bizarre. There was not really a review. Umps just made a ruling, and then they admitted they got it wrong after the game. No consequence because Granderson struck out immediately after. Bill, how did you view how this played out?
I thought, you know, it was a terrible call. Madden was right to argue, but the real negligence came from the Cubs themselves, the organization, Wrigley Field. They showed the replay on the scoreboard again and again and again. Clearly a bad call. You're not supposed to show replays of plays that aren't reviewable if they can cause a potential riot in the stands. I don't want to say the worst word riot, but a ruckus in the stands. This really did. It felt like Steve Bartman night there. The fans were so enraged. I was worried something was going to happen. And they kept enraging him and kept pumping up and egging him on and egging him on. Yeah, the guy blew the call. Terrible call. Yeah, man was right to argue. But the Cubs kept showing it again and again. The place was, the rest of the game, the fans were on edge, screaming at everything. I just thought it was over the top.
Let me ask you, typically, do home stadiums show replays when they're in question like that?
You are not supposed to do that. The league mandate is, unless it's reviewable, then you show it. Otherwise, if you think it's a call that's going to get the
and foul
fans
tips
stirred
are
up,
not reviewable by league rule at the moment. Kevin Blackistone.
You know what? It's 2017, and I understand what you're saying, Bill, and I know why they put those rules in effect. But if you are standing in the concession line and they're showing the game, the broadcast, you can see the replay there. And you know what? If you got a cell phone in your pocket, chances of that happening, you can pick it up and look at it right there. So I don't think it makes a difference anymore. The bottom line is if everybody can see it, correct it. And this should be reviewable because it's something that a home plate umpire maybe can't hear in the din of the crowd and certainly can't see. And then you're going to motion down the line to have one of those guys further away come down and correct the call or make a call. I think that's wrong.
Bob Ryan?
I'd love to have the explanation as to why it's not reviewable. To me, it's one of the most logical things to go with. I've seen more than once this year a replay of a alleged foul tip, and we've gotten a definitive answer every single time. Although I understand it's not legally binding, but the fact is it should be. Okay, that's that. Now, in terms of of the series, Bryant and Rizzo got to get started sooner or later. You would think. But it's been Dodgers absolutely are going to march on to the World Series.
Mm-hmm. Tim Kalishaw.
The reason it's not reviewable is because balls and strikes aren't reviewable, and the games are 4 hours long already. We really can't drag them out much longer than we're already asking fans to sit through. That's what's unfortunate about this being such a bad call. You don't want to put it. I don't want to see him have to review it. I just don't want to see some third base umpire say, I think I heard two sounds. I guess one of those must have been a foul tip. Let's call it a foul ball. That's just Joe Madden was exactly right. The process was wrong last night.
Joe Madden may be winning the arguments. He's losing the war, though. I mean, he's losing this series right now. I want to talk about tonight's game because it's 3-1. I mean, it's not dire straits for the Los Angeles Dodgers. But here we go again, Bill. Greatest pitcher of a generation who struggles in the postseason, have been well documented. Another start for him to prove until we have another start after that. But how should L.A. look at this Kershaw start?
I think they should look at it, be very safe. They should feel very good about it. They're 6-1 in his last 7 postseason starts. He chased away a lot of the playoff demons last year. They aren't going to need him. The back end of their bullpen is rested. They're not going to need him for more than 5 or 6 innings tonight. The Cubs closer Wade Davis threw 48 pitches. The Cubs bullpen's a mess. Cubs hitters are still batting 168. The Cubs have not broken out of their offensive slump. Rizzo and Bryant don't have an RBI in the series. Dodgers are going to be fine. They're going to do it tonight.
KB?
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that for all of those reasons. I mean, I think Clayton Kershaw shuts him down tonight. And, the pitching that you're seeing right now and the play that you're seeing right now from the Cubs, where was this in the last series that they were in when they were just mowing down the Nationals? We didn't see that. So,
okay,
no,
thank you from the panelist in Washington for bringing you back to Washington. Kalishaw on Kershaw.
I think he'll be good. He's given up home runs, and this team feels like they're confident against him. They know what they did in Wrigley Field in the playoffs a year ago, but mostly his playoff, as Bill said, he's 6-1 in his last 7 playoff starts. Most of that stuff with the Cardinals and others is fairly distant history now. I think he'll pitch well. Will the Dodgers do more than just hit a couple home runs?
Dodgers are, 7-1 in his last starts, or appearances, I think it is. But that ERA is still double what it is for his entire career, his postseason ERA. And, Bob, I know you like the Dodgers here, but Kershaw specifically.
Well, I want to endorse Kershaw. I think he's got put that thing generally to rest, except that game with the 4 home runs is still lingering in the mind. And you're wondering, what was that all about?
Yeah. Here's the thing. Every game, every next game is another chance for you guys to either put that storyline down or bring it back up again. We'll move on. Thursday Night Football. Chiefs, Raiders. Everyone had Oakland winning the division. They're 3 back of KC and bottom half of the league in almost every offensive statistic. So based on what you've seen so far, Kevin Blackistone, any way these Raiders can beat the Chiefs at home?
Well, they'll have to steal a playbook, the playbook of the Steelers last week, which really was to run the ball and kind of bludgeon the Chiefs. Unfortunately, they don't have Le'Veon Bell. They have Marshawn Lynch. They have Richard, and I don't think that's going to be enough. You know, as much has been said about this team struggling this year, and Derek Carr been up and down in part because of injury, he's still got decent numbers. I mean, 8 touchdowns to just 4 interceptions. His completion percentage is 68%, but they're just not getting the ball in the end zone, and I don't think they're going to be able to beat these guys yet again. It goes back to 2014.
Anything you've seen from the Raiders, Bob Ryan, that makes you think they could win this game? It's in Oakland, at home, against the Chiefs.
The answer is no. There really isn't much to go on at all. But I'm going to go counterintuitive because we know this league has a history in the short term and the long term of inexplicable things happening. I can see them rising up and finally having a good game. And they are home. If they were in the Arrowhead, I'd say no chance. But they're home. I think they're going to pull an upset.
Chiefs lost at Arrowhead last week. Tim Kalishaw on tonight.
You said everyone picked the Raiders. If you'd scale that morning news paywall, you'd know that I picked the Chiefs. So beyond that, I think the Raiders have some serious problems. Their offense, they're not even getting 300 yards a game. And the Chiefs are not a defense to get well against. So I really don't even like Oakland's chances at home.
So what happened here with this Oakland offense, Tim Kalishaw, Amari Cooper?
I think a lot of it's the offensive line. I don't know if Carr has been 100% healthy when he's played. And people have figured out, what to do against Cooper and Crabtree.
Well, we know Carr wasn't healthy. I mean, he broke a bone in his back and came back after missing one game. You break your back and you come back after missing one game in the NFL. Bill Plaschke, what do you need to see from Oakland tonight to make you think they can beat KC?
What I wanted to see was the Raiders apparently are going to be in all white. Why aren't they in all black? It's perfect for them to be in all black. They shouldn't be in all white. And I'd like to see Amari Cooper show up. I'd like to see Marshawn Lynch show up. I think those two guys, neither guys have been around much. I think the offense is one of the worst in the league. And I think Carr, he was not playing well even before he got hurt. I think they have offensive line problems. I think they have adjustment problems. I don't see any way the Raiders win tonight. And it'll be a big win for them. I don't see any way they win.
Plaschke 16, Kalishaw 12, Blackstone, and Ryan 10. Taking a break right here. Buy or sell in 2 minutes.
Those guys are the Cubs. I'm the Dodgers.
Buy or sell.
Did you have any knowledge of the Bowen family getting any money? Did you have any knowledge of an Adidas transaction? And I answered absolutely not on both questions and passed the lie detector test. This is your life. This is your passion. And you don't want your life taken and pulled away from you. And I think all these other schools reacted the right way. There's only been one school that rushed to judgment and took the coach away from these players, and that's Louisville.
Tim Kalishaw, your takeaway from the Pitino sit-down with Jay Billis?
I'm going to buy that, Jay Billis saying he can believe that Rick Pitino wouldn't know what's going on in a Las Vegas hotel room, but to say he's not responsible for it is a different matter. I'm going to sell Rick Pitino's saying that he's learned humility is the most important word in the English language. I don't know anybody who's ever been around Pitino who thinks humility is high on his list.
Bill Plaschke.
I can't sell this enough. He says it's his life and his passion. He sure doesn't keep good tabs on his life and his passion. He doesn't know anything about the stripper incident several years ago. Now he doesn't know anything about this. Who is he? Is he even a coach? Is he like one of the most controlling coaches in the world? Or suddenly he doesn't coach anything? I don't understand it. I'm not buying it. I believe he knew everything about all that stuff. That's Rick Pitino. That's how he rolls. I can't believe now he's denying everything.
And even if he didn't know, he should know, because one of the rules in NCAA has to do with institutional control, and that comes from the top and that goes all the way down. And I'm hard-pressed to believe anything from Rick Pitino or believe that he has a place in college basketball in the first place after the tryst incident with the woman at Louisville who then just did 7 years in prison on an extortion charge and just got out in July.
Bob Ryan.
It's strange credulity, regardless of the lie detector claim that he has, and the fact that he got this recruit at the 11th hour and 59th minute, dropped out of the sky. Oh, at the time he went on radio and said, I can't believe how lucky we were. I didn't spend a dime to recruit him. No, he spent more than a few dimes, apparently.
The lie detector test coming forward like this, is this a reclamation project about clearing your name or about getting another job? Anybody's opinion? Bob, you?
Well, probably both, I guess. I mean, he seems to, we always say, get ahead of the story. He's trying to get ahead of the story. All right.
He won't get another
job. I'd say clearing his name. I don't know that he's really that concerned with getting another job at this
No, you don't think another job is possible. We'll move on. Buy or sell 2. Quote game. Who said it? I felt like I was playing 2K. Ben Simmons, his first NBA game, 18, 10, and 5. Joel Embiid had 18, 13, and 3 in it. Markelle Fultz, 10, 3, and 1. About your favorite Embiid, Bob. He's a big man. I know you love that. He's also shooting threes. I also know how you feel about that, and it's not exactly great. We'll get to you in a second. What to buy, what to sell from Washington's 5-point win over Philly last night, Bill Plaschke?
I'm buying the big winner was the 76ers and their fans. That's a fun team. Simmons, only the second rookie in 30 years to go 15, 10, and 5, at least in his debut. And Embiid was really all over the place. They're fun to watch. Look at the highlights. The process is working.
Do we know who the other rookie is? You gave us a college show. You gave us information.
Markelle Fultz. I'm not that impressed with him right now. I'm not that impressed with him.
The second rookie you said, Ben Simmons, have those numbers.
Oh, Grant Hill.
That's something you're going to say first. But at least that's something we now know you know. We'll move on. Blackistone.
Well, the only panelist who took time out of his schedule last night to go witness the process in person. Let me just say that Ben Simmons is a really fine player. He can do everything. And it makes you wonder how good he is with the ball in his hands, distributing and everything, why they drafted Markelle Fultz in the first place to play the point.
Bob Ryan?
No later than Christmas, or perhaps even by Thanksgiving, Sam Hinkie is going to be writing a big treatise somewhere. I told you so, okay? Because the process is going to work with these kids unless someone gets hurt.
Which is a real possibility.
Don't we know? So, in Boston, of course. So, no, I think the Sixers are going to be entertaining and well worth the emotional and financial investment for their fans.
I'm buying the Sixers are going to be fun. They're going to be a playoff team in the East. I'm selling that team Blackistone went to see played any defense last night. Were the Wizards guarding anybody in any of those highlights you just showed?
Why are you whipping this team?
They got the W, though. This is the first round matchup I'd be game to see. Wouldn't you guys agree? Does everybody have Philly in the conversation for the playoffs? Kalisha has them in.
Yeah, it's the East.
In the conversation, says Bob. All right. Anyone want to go big? Anyone want to say they're a 6th seed? 7th seed? No. Okay. We'll move on. Andrew Luck, Colts told him to stop throwing, told him no more practice this week, and gave him a cortisone shot. Buy or sell Indy maybe shutting Luck down for the season, KB?
No, I'm going to sell it. I don't see any reason to do that. The bottom line is you got to get this guy back on the field at some point, whether it's next season or this season. I still think it's going to be this season. He just practiced a little bit too much and needed something to quell the pain.
I was reverse course on this. I think they should do everything to get him back. One reason, not only for himself, but for the good of the league. Somewhere down the road, they may have a big game against somebody, even though they're not going anywhere, and he would be out there in competition.
Tim Kalisha need to shut Luck down.
Football players play football. When he's ready to go, he should play. I hate to say they're a game out of first. They're a game behind everybody in their division, but they are a game out of first.
Bill Plaschke?
No, shut him down. They've been going for this for 3 years. They need to stop it now. Make sure he's healthy. He had this last year. He had this the year before. Also, you get a chance to see Jacoby Brissett. Give him a year. You can either then use it as a trade piece in the offseason, and you'll get a good draft pick if Luck doesn't play. Shut him down.
Some people think Plaschke should have shut it down earlier and buy or sell. You got all those points you don't need. We're wiping the record clear. In Showdown next, we say goodbye to Kevin, we say goodbye to Bob. Simmons, Bill, Showdown next. Tim Kalisha, Bill Plaschke, Showdown. Blazers 124, Suns 76 last night. Worst loss for Phoenicians since Macedonia. The Suns' slogan this season is "We are Phoenix." Tim, is that Phoenix?
More like "We are Fini." How do you come back from a night like that? TJ Warren, a nice young player, minus 42 in your season opener. That's a tough one to grind back from. That's a bad team. They're a last place team in the West.
No, change that name to "We are tanking." They're already tanking. They saw what it did for the Lakers, youngest team in the league, and they got beat without C.J. McCollum, which is unbelievable to me. It's a long season in Phoenix, but I think they'll be happy for it. They'll be happy with the rewards they reap come next summer.
You can tank. You can tank without losing by 48 points.
48 at home.
They lost by 28, it'd be fine. They lost by 48. We'll move on. Milwaukee Marathon. The course was 1/8 of a mile short. That's bad. But not as bad when you consider last year was a half mile too long. 2 years in a row, they blew this. Bill, should Milwaukee get another chance?
No, and the key here is that the mismanagement of the mileage came on this part of the course that's called the Hank Aaron State Trail. How can they do that to Hammer and Hank in Milwaukee to abuse his name like that? Hasn't he suffered enough? get the marathon out of his trail.
I want to give him another chance. Look at that course they're on. It looks like the Milwaukee Bucks logo. It looks like they're running through antlers in the first 10 miles of the race, and then they're going back and forth. Let's measure this thing right and give the poor people of Wisconsin a decent marathon.
I believe you all know my history here. If you don't, you can find it on our YouTube page when I set the world record for the mile in 1863 while running it in 2000 and whatever at 4:36, and then I found out that the track was about 50 yards short. So I am nobody to question distances in races, and FaceTime goes to Big Power.
Possibly the greatest night in professional sports tonight. All 4 leagues in action. You got football, you got baseball playoffs, NBA, NHL. Not telling you to stay tuned for Stars Coyotes, just saying there's a lot of stuff going on. But I think there's an even better weekend in April when you have NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, baseball season starting, and now the draft coming to you from Arlington, Texas. There will be about 1 million people at this draft. I want all my compadres to come on.
We're not getting excited